Hey there, friends. Welcome back to the OA podcast where we have lots of opinions, but most of them are pretty average. I'm Anna.
And I'm Monica. Along with this podcast, and even with some of our friends, we often talk about generational differences. I think we actually did an episode of this, right? At
Yeah,
least
yeah.
between
A
our
while back.
generations.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So if you haven't checked that episode out, we'll link it down below if you want to check it out. But recently we came across this article that talks about things that the boomer generation specifically did or skills that they had that are just not relevant today. We thought that going over these topics in this article would be like really fun to talk about. Um, we would like to preface that neither one of us is from the boomer generation,
Yeah.
if that wasn't obvious.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. No, I am not a boomer. So I guess for those of you that don't know I mean, God, Juan, we talk about this all the time. Like, I don't know
Yes.
why.
I
Like,
don't know
even just,
why.
I don't know why, but even just like when we're hanging out with our friends, with our spouses, and all that kind of stuff, we often talk
Yeah.
about like generational differences. And I think it's because we're from different generations, right? So
Yes,
I
it's
am
true.
a Gen Xer, not a boomer.
Yes.
So a boomer is like basically there was a baby boom after World War II because everyone was happy, the war was done, they survived, right? They survived this awful war. So people were happy, and what were they doing, Mon, when they're happy?
They were doing something when they were happy. They
They're
made a lot of
happy.
babies.
They made a lot of babies. So it was a baby boom. It was a baby boom.
Yes.
So it's basically like it's basically like our parents, right? So our parents are baby boomers.
Yes.
So they weren't the ones that were making tons of babies. It was their parents. So
Yes.
our grandparents, right?
Our grandparents.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our grandparents are the no. Our grandparents made the baby boomer generation.
Yes.
Right.
And honestly, I don't think like the term boomer really came around until like our generation called them out for like, their differences or whatever. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
before they were just referred to as baby boomers, right? And
Yeah.
then it became boomer, like
Boomer.
okay, boomer as
Yeah.
in like a negative way. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of unfortunate, but they
Yeah.
are indeed the boomer generation.
They are so there's just this really good article, and we'll link the article and everything, but I was
Yes.
reading it today kind of as a refresher because I think like one of us found it a really long time ago, like sometime last
Yes. I
year.
think it's you.
I think I found it. I love like how like when you're online, like at work, like on your
Mhm.
lunch or whatever, like I just go online sometimes and I could tell that it knows that I like lists, like the top 10 list or like the 40 thing. This one is a freaking 40 lister. And I always get them because I guess I'm a sucker for those like types of things. So the article
Yeah.
was like it was 40 items that boomers skills that boomers have that like we don't do or we don't like really practice today. So when I was reading
Right.
it today, I was like, this is actually really funny. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, I don't think we're gonna go over 40 of them because
No,
that's
no.
that's a lot, and I believe we'll have some things to say about the ones we're
Yes,
gonna go
yeah.
over today.
Yes,
But
yes.
if you enjoy this episode, and I'll say it later, if you enjoy this episode, that means we have like more things to talk about if you do want a part 2.
Yes.
So,
I'll find more
uh,
lists, guys.
I'm sure your what's it called? Your algorithm or your feed or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
is
I
just
always get
listening.
those, like so random.
Give her
But
more
yeah,
lists. Make
yeah,
it
yeah.
50 this time.
All right, Mon. So what's the first like okay, so we explained what the boomers were. So it's not
Yes.
me, guys. It's not me.
No,
It's
no, far
our
from it.
parents. Yeah. So it's our parents' generation. And a lot of
Mm.
what are they like in their 70s now, right? Like late
Yes.
60s, in their 70s. They're getting up there in age. So what's the first
Yeah.
thing? Like pick one from our list because I know the first one
Ooh,
that I wrote
okay.
is
Ooh.
heavy. So I don't know if we want to start
Oh, yeah, yeah,
there
yeah.
or
We'll
whatever.
we'll save it for closer
Yeah,
to the
for
minute.
because it's
Um,
a little bit of a loaded topic, but okay.
yeah. Let's see. Oh, here. I'll actually start with the last one you have on the list. Using landline telephones and voicemails.
Mhm.
I did live during the time when we still had landlines, okay? So I'm not,
I was
like, that
gonna
young.
ask. I wasn't sure. I was gonna ask, like, did you have a landline growing up?
My parents still have a landline. I grew up having a landline in my family. So, I remember having to learn that number by heart when I was, like, a child in case,
Mhm,
I got lost or whatever. But, we didn't get cell phones until way later, so it was very vital to have a landline.
mhm.
And, nowadays, I don't know too many people who have landlines anymore.
You know, when I
You?
was doing this, I don't think we do. When I was
Mhm.
actually compiling this list, I was wondering if they have to be still available. Like, you could get one if you wanted. I don't think we do, but I have this fear for the longest time that, like, you couldn't call 911 from your cell phone. I think that was actually, like,
Oh.
a real thing, like, years and years ago where, like, you know how, like, before when you call, this is me, this is like a super irrational fear, but like when you call 911 from a landline, they actually
Mhm.
know where you are, I believe. Do you know that? Like
Oh. They
they
could
actually
triangulate
they can,
you?
yeah, they can track you like very, very quickly on a landline. And I used to have this fear where it's like if you call 911 on a cell phone, they wouldn't know where you are and they wouldn't be able to help you. So for the longest time, that's why we kept our landline. Was because I was
Ah.
scared that like in case of emergency, I honestly have no clue we have one.
Hmm.
I don't think we do. I honestly be surprised. I don't think we do. But, yeah, definitely not. And funny thing, a funny little story is that, like, the company where I work at, it's like
Yes.
10,000 employees in this company. We
Mhm.
recently got rid of our landlines. Like, everyone had a landline. No one answered it. I remember when my phone rang, I'd be like, "What? What is that?" And I would never
What
pick it
does
up.
that sound?
Yeah, but we have recently migrated to Zoom phones. Do you know that? Zoom,
Wait,
yeah,
like, on your
mhm.
computer or your phone or your
Yeah,
work phone?
so
I don't
you know how, like, everyone has the Zoom app, or most people have the
sure.
Zoom app on their, like, laptop or on their computers or whatever. So
Mhm.
now for us, if you were to call my phone number that is listed, it goes to Zoom and it rings on Zoom, and you could pick it up on Zoom. So Zoom
Oh,
is always on.
interesting.
Yeah, I got a call the other day, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't do anything with it. Just ignored it.
But, did it, like, leave a voicemail for,
I
like,
yeah.
if
So the
oh,
voicemails, okay, that's another thing. So the
yeah.
voicemail ended up being a message, an email to me. Somehow
Oh.
Zoom emailed me, and then the message was like transcript, I don't know, do you call that transcribing, right? It was
Oh.
transcribed, and like
Yes.
that's, yeah, something to that effect, but I'm
Wow.
like, yeah, it's weird. But yeah, no,
I
definitely
mean,
don't use
that
landline.
type of voicemail is, like, next level, like, voicemail.
Mhm.
Because on landlines, yeah, you had, like, the voicemail attached to, like, the base of
The
your
machine.
landline
Yeah.
phone. Yeah, and you had to, like, press play, and it would tell you, "You have one new
Yes.
message."
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Mon, do you
uh
remember, Mon, sorry, do you remember this?
yeah,
I don't know if you were, like, young, and if you're too young for this, but, like, when we used to have more than one phone, like, there used to be,
uh-huh.
like, a phone downstairs and a phone in my room, and, like, if I was talking on the phone, someone could literally pick it up
Mm.
downstairs and, like, listen, and
"Get
I
off
mean,
the
you could hear them.
phone."
Yeah, like, "I need to use the phone," or, like, whatever. Do you
Yeah.
remember
I
that?
yes, I remember. I mean, I didn't use, like, the phone too often when we still had one. But there'd be times where I'd be trying to pick up the phone and my mom or my auntie was, like, already on it, and I could just hear them yapping. It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." Or
Okay.
sometimes I'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
Or the weird,
Um,
I mean, this is not weird, but it was just like how, like, your friends would call and your mom would answer, and your mom would be like,
oh,
"What? Oh my god, so
oops.
and so is on the phone." And it would be such a big thing when, like, a boy called.
Oh, oh, see, I didn't know anything about that.
Well, you had a cell phone probably by the time that took place.
Yeah, that was fun in college. I'm just kidding.
See?
I didn't have
Yeah.
any boys calling me on my phone, okay. I can't relate.
But it was like a thing. It was like your dad would get
Yeah.
pissed, your mom would get pissed. It was
Oh,
like a whole thing when the opposite sex called your phone. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to hear that, like, it's like, "Oh my god, there's someone on the phone." I'm like, "Who is it?" "I don't know." There's no caller ID
Oh,
because there
yeah, that's
wasn't caller
true.
ID back then
Yeah.
either.
Mhm.
It's just phones have come such a long way, and
Yeah.
now like, me and Jay, we're the only ones in this house, and we only have our cell phones, so when we have to put in, like, we're we're filling out, like, personal information on, like, forms or whatever, it's like when there's still a home phone area, I'm like,
Yeah.
"My cell phone?"
Yeah. Or, what's interesting is, like, no one talks on the phone now. Like, the phone is not even a
No,
thing. Like, it's like,
no.
do you have anyone calling? Like, it's so weird. I have a couple people that, like 2, only 2 people I can think of in my family that will actually call just to say hi or check in, but I'm used
Oh,
to those people. But if it's someone else, I think it's like there's something
if I
wrong or
called
like
you.
yeah, I'd be like, "Mon, like, is
Mm.
everything okay? Is there, like, an emergency?"
Okay, how'd
Right?
you
Do you feel like that too?
I literally only get calls from my mom. Maybe my dad, but never really from anyone else. If it's from Jay, it does heighten, like, worry because he never calls me, we just text,
Yeah,
but, he's, like, the next on the list. Aside from that, if I get, like, a call from anyone else, "Sorry, you're being, like, screened. I'm not
yeah,
answering because I didn't expect your
yeah.
call."
Yeah, especially if it's someone that I think, like, most of our friends, like, if our friends called us, I would definitely pick up, but I would be worried, like, not,
Sure.
like, worried, but kinda just like, "Wait, is something
This
going
is
on?"
weird.
Because yeah. Actually, yeah, but, like, I don't know, like, no one just, like it's not a thing anymore. Like, we've even
Mm,
evolved from this list from, like, even the landline to just straight up talking on the phone is not
yeah.
even really, like, a thing anymore.
Right, it's mainly text.
Mhm.
It's weird, but there's, like, more FaceTime than there is,
Mhm.
like or video calls rather than regular calls. Like,
Yeah.
people need to see the person
Yeah, I
who
hate
talked to
that.
them on
I
the
will
phone.
never pick up a FaceTime. Like, don't do it, please, like yeah. But,
That'd
Mom,
be,
I
like, the next
remember
level.
you told me that when you and Jay were first, like, dating or whatever, like,
Yes.
Ab and I for sure talked on the phone, and I brought this up before, but it was such a big thing to have those, like, long conversations with, like, someone that you were really into, and you stay on the phone
Mhm.
for hours and hours, and I was really surprised when you told me, like, you and Jay, like, you guys was it a FaceTime thing or, like, a chat type of situation?
We went from mainly just messaging on the
Mhm.
phone to, we did more Skype calls, but we didn't do too many, like,
Oh.
in person, like, it would just be literally the audio. It wouldn't even be, like, seeing each other, which is weird. Oh, who's calling now?
Dave. Oh,
You should
no,
answer it, you should answer it.
this hold
You
on,
should
should
answer
I?
it. Yes, 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 go.
Okay, okay, hold on.
Maybe this will be good content.
Dave?
Hello.
Hi, hold on. Monica and I are, like, recording,
Oh, oops.
but is everything okay?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna see what clothes size does Mia wear.
Oh, you're so sweet. She wears, I would say 18 months at this point.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank
Dave, you know
you.
what's so funny?
It's so
Guess what
weird.
we're talking about? We're talking about how people don't call each other on the phone and we get nervous when people call and you call. So you're literally on the podcast. Say hi.
Hello.
Okay.
Alright.
Bye, Dave.
Sorry for interrupting.
That's okay. Bye, Dave.
Bye.
Okay. So I was gonna
That's so
say,
perfect. We did not plan this at
that is
all, I
so
swear.
I'm keeping that in. I'm keeping that in. But, like, okay,
Yeah.
so the 2 people, I'll say it, the 2 people that called me that,
Mhm.
like, kinda don't like, Noah is for some reason, Noah
Of course.
actually calls. He calls every,
That's
like,
good.
couple days just to check in, and I don't really get nervous when he calls because he just checks in. But, like, Dave's
Mhm.
the
That's so funny.
what great content.
I mean, if that improved your point, I mean
Yeah, yeah. That's so
Aw.
funny. Okay, sorry, what were you saying? Okay, you and Jay used to Skype.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We Skype called, but we
Mhm.
didn't use, like, the video feature. It was available, but we didn't use it too
Mhm,
often, and I think that's just because, like, whatever we were doing, it's not like, "Ooh, I wanna see you
mhm.
while you're
I was
doing whatever
wondering
you're
about
doing."
that. I was wondering if it was like a video call. I would be super like like trying to like make myself like pretty or whatever.
There were times, like, we had, like, video calls, but, like, I think I was just really comfortable to the point where, like, yeah, I
You
didn't have
didn't
any
care.
makeup on, I was,
Yeah.
like, really bummy, so it was kinda, like, uh, comfortable at that time, and the fact that I was doing a call in general was, like, a
Mhm.
big thing for me. So, well, yeah, since then, we don't really use Skype call
Well, you
anymore
guys
either.
he's in the next room, not right now, but he's,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, even now, like, if I were to contact him, I only text him, and if it's an absolute emergency, then I call him for an
Mhm.
immediate answer. Because
Yeah.
sometimes the dude does not
I
text
hate
back
the, like,
very
not
quickly.
talk yeah, the not text back, right? But it's funny because, like, you say that because you know who of, like, your friends or your family is good at, like, texting back right away, and then the people that are just, like, not, so, yeah.
I'm usually good about it unless I'm napping.
That's
Then
usually,
I'm
like
out for, like, a good
yeah, a
hour or
couple
2.
hours. I've learned that as a one of your
Sorry.
really good friends. That's okay.
Yes.
Alright. Okay, so I'll pick the next one.
Oh,
That
yes.
was a good one. Okay. So
What's the
here
next one?
this is another one that our friend group has talked about and, like, done, like, examples of randomly, but, like,
Mhm.
writing in cursive. Writing in cursive, and I put slash because it's kind of related, but, like, paper invitation. So I know those are 2 separate things, but
Oh,
they're kind of they're both like writing and stuff like that, but
yeah.
we had this conversation because you guys were telling us that you saw like a news report or something about that kids, I don't know, do they no longer learn how to do that in school anymore?
I don't think it's taught, or at least it's not as prioritized maybe,
Mhm.
in school. I mean, I remember learning cursive in, like, elementary school,
Yeah.
and maybe they're foregoing that in elementary school now, and there's no time to do it in, like, middle or high school or something, but
Yeah,
as
that's
far as I
sad.
know, there's not a high priority for people to
Yeah.
learn cursive.
So, like, if you really think about it, though, like, this is really sad to say, but it's like, what's the need, right? Like, is there a need? Everything's on the freaking computer. Like, I just remembered that, like, this was like mind blowing to me. But when Noah was in middle school, they
Uh-huh.
gave out computers to every kid. Every kid
Mhm.
in his junior high got Acer computers. And at first, he was like, what do I need this for? And then, like, 6 months later, they can't live without it. And
Yeah.
everything is submitted, everything is typed up, everything was like, this is like when the Google suite first came out, like, so there would be like the teachers would have Google folders, the assignments would be submitted through there, which is insane, right? Back in those days,
Yeah.
like I remember like writing on a piece of paper and like submitting it in the beginning of a class. Like there's
Yeah.
none of that, everything is electronic. So it's kind of weird, but I do have to say, remember how like I think Jay and Av were having this conversation about how the younger like celebrities and athletes, like how
Mhm.
autographs are like a thing, like autographs are like
Yes.
shit now because they don't know how to sign
They
or
literally
whatever.
just print, like, write,
Yeah.
print their name,
Mhm.
and it looks so basic.
Yeah, it's not
But can
special.
you imagine, like, signatures moving forward, like, in professional areas, not just, like, autographs or
Mhm.
whatever, but it's like, mm, I it just doesn't seem, like, professional to see your name just printed out when there's, like, a print your name and then
Then a
signature. When
sign.
they're the same thing, I feel like, what's the point?
Yeah, yeah. And also, like, it's crazy, but, like, you know how now, like, well, we both went through, like, we both bought houses, right? Like,
Yes.
everything is, like, signed electronically now, like DocuSign.
Oh,
You have, like, in Adobe, in Acrobat, right? Like, there is
mhm.
that your signature is there, like, pre-cursive or whatever
Yes.
that you just drag to the line or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
just like, dang, I'm even just realizing this stuff right now.
Well, I mean, like, I guess the last time that we had to do it, like, we refinanced the house or something, and we still had to have, like, a notary come
Yeah.
and, like, do that, and I just remember being really self-conscious of my signature because you have to do it, like, 5,000,000 times
Yes.
through all the
Yeah. You
documents,
do.
and I remember one time, it was just, like I remember asking the notaries, like, "Well, my signature" I don't know if it was, like, even necessary to say. I was like, "So your signature has to be the exact same, like, on every single one?"
Mhm.
And I was just, like, going through my mind all of those cursive exercises. I was like, "This has to be,
Yeah,
like, the
yeah.
right
Wait,
thing." And I'm just
what did he say? Like, did he say yes? Because like, is
he said
someone
yes.
really looking at it?
I don't know, but he said yes, and it made me, like, feel really self-conscious during
Self-conscious,
all those
yeah.
signatures. I was like, "Oh
Mhm.
my god, I'm gonna mess up this A. Oh, there's like, I missed one of my
Yeah.
L's in
You're
my
not gonna
last."
get your refi, hon. They're gonna hike up your percentage.
I was so focused on, like, with some of the documents that I
Mhm.
feel like I remember messing up on the dates because you have to put dates at the same time you're
Yeah, yeah.
signing, and I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, I put the wrong date." And
Yeah.
we had to go back and redo all of those. And it's just like, if people were signing things today, yeah, you just DocuSign, click, 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 click,
Yeah.
click,
Yep.
and it's not even your own signature.
Yeah, yeah, you just put your initials in and that's it. So,
It's
it's
crazy. It's like, how is
oh,
this okay?
I saw Ab and I heard this thing. It was actually an ad on the radio
Mhm.
or, like, someone was talking about it on the radio where they were like, how do I put this? Like, you know how there's like national archives, like the Smithsonian has all these like documents from like hundreds of years ago, whatever, not hundreds, but
Mhm.
whatever, a really long time ago. And they're all in cursive and they want them interpreted. But there's a lot of people that don't know how to read cursive now.
Ugh.
They don't know how to read. So this is the thing. They're looking for volunteers. Like, dude, pay me and I'll like read cursive. But like they're looking for volunteers to look through like these old documents,
What?
like and like interpret them because yeah, because a lot of people don't know how to read cursive now, which obviously like if they don't know how to write in it, they're probably
Yeah.
not being taught how to read in it either, which
Oh, of
is
course. Those
crazy.
2 go hand in hand. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the reasons why we talk about it a lot is because sometimes I come across, like, TikToks or, like, reels or whatever, and it's kids who are being asked to write in cursive baseball, and I remember B being, like, a very hard letter in cursive to
Yeah.
write,
Yeah.
and you could just see them struggling, and it's, like, the worst cursive in the world. Like,
That's crazy.
they understand cursive as, like, signatures where it's just, like, a scribbly thing, so it's,
Right,
like,
right.
the first letter and then scribbly, scribbly, and I'm like,
Yeah. That
"We're
makes me
doomed."
wonder, like, if that you just brought up, like, like what they do in other countries, like, if they still
Mm,
do like, I know, like, there's different, like, how in Arabic and, like, in the different Asian language, like, it's symbols and it's not like how we
yes.
have letters and stuff, like, do they still
Yeah.
do that now? Like, I have no idea, like, if
I'm
they
not
still do.
sure, but, like, I'm studying Korean,
Mm,
and it's, like, through, like, Duolingo or whatever.
mhm.
Duolingo
Ooh.
wanna sponsor us,
Yes, yes. I'm suing
but
Japanese. I'm suing
yeah.
Japanese. Yes, okay.
But obviously, like, the way that they put it, it's symbols, like you said, but I remember reading someone's handwritten Korean
Mhm,
Hangul, and it's just like, ooh, it's like their type of cursive where it like things blend together in their
mhm.
symbols, and I'm like, "How do I read this?" As, like,
Yeah, yeah.
a person who's studying,
Mhm.
Korean in general, and it's just like, "How are you able to read this?" And it must be the same way as people who are
Yeah, that's
reading
very
our
true.
cursive and
Mhm.
English and whatever, and so it's like, it's a secondary language, it seems like.
Yeah, it's hard enough, let alone, like, learning, like yeah.
If you're listening, do you use cursive a lot in your daily life? I mean, aside from writing your name as a signature when you're
Yeah.
buying stuff, getting receipts, like,
Dude, Juan,
do
I
you
was
use it at
thinking
all?
about it, like, I honestly, like, can go an entire workday and not pick up a pen. Like, it's just
Mm,
all, like, typing, like, literally, like even, like, I used to do, like
DocuSign.
I'm a big, like, Post-it note person, and my
Uh-huh.
Post-it notes are electronic, like, it's the app, the Post-it
Oh,
note app that is
wow.
on many computers, like, I have tons of
Yeah.
those, but it's literally just, like Yeah,
I
it's
still like my
crazy.
paper and pen,
I
and
know,
I still have to
applets
sign a
too.
lot of stuff, so I haven't quite gotten away from those yet, but
Mhm.
I believe, yeah, a lot of people are just purely digital now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Okay, speaking of, so the next thing that we have on here are invitations. Really quick, let's go through this.
Yes.
How do you feel about invitations? Like, it's very rare, like that we get paper invitations anymore, but are there occasions where you feel like say a very formal wedding? Like, what do you think about that?
Oh, well, I've mentioned it before. Me and Jay didn't have a formal wedding, so when we did have like our little intimate wedding with a small group of people, like I think we did mainly we didn't even do an invite. We just called them up or texted them like, "Hey, be here at this time."
Right, right.
um, and we don't host too many parties, so we don't have a need to
Mhm,
invite or have fancy invitations. So I guess I'm in the realm of like, I don't really need paper
mhm,
invitations. But when I get paper invitations from other people, and they're like, yeah, whether it's just like a postcard or like a multifaceted
mhm.
combobulation, I mean, I still enjoy them. I just feel bad throwing them away.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. So, the flip side, not flip side, but another side of this is like, you know how we get holiday cards? Like,
Yes.
I do love get like there's people that still send them out and I appreciate it and I love it, but it's also like at some point you end up recycling those cards and I feel bad doing it.
Mhm.
So that's one thing. So yeah, I totally like agree with you that that sucks when you have to like you feel guilty, but I do have to say, I know I mentioned this before, like we went to a very formal wedding in Manila,
Yes. Uh-huh.
like in December, and it was an Evite, but it was super nice. It was very, very it
Oh.
felt like a very formal invitation, but done
Hmm.
like electronically. Like it was like I
Wow.
think it can be done, but these days with like waste and like, trying
Oh,
to
yeah.
just be more mindful of like, trees and stuff like that. Like I'm on
Mhm.
board. I think that like I would want like I've seen people do like they just order one like invitation for themselves
Yeah.
to keep or like, a little bit
Keepsake
like
thing.
for like your parents or, people like
Yeah.
just a couple of handfuls. But I think like these days, like it's way more common to get e-invites than like paper. Like I get surprised when I get like paper invites for stuff.
Yeah. It feels
Yeah.
so eventful, like, because you
Yes,
still have to
yeah.
open the envelope
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
do the big reveal.
Mhm.
I mean, just getting mail in general is like, "Oh,
Yeah,
someone thought of
hello,
me."
like, yeah, but you know what's like, now that I think about it, it's like, dang, so, like, all those stationery companies, like,
Oof,
probably, like, whew,
they're
that's one of
pivoting.
the things yeah, yeah, um, like, not a thing anymore, unfortunately. Alright, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, pick another.
Um, let's see, another one. Oh, I'll talk about this one. Manual transmission or stick shift driving. Um, I tell everyone this, whoever I can tell. I don't like driving. I don't like driving, and I drive an automatic car.
Mhm. That makes sense.
And I just have like a lot of anxiety when I drive unless it's like a super familiar route. So I don't drive as much as like other people do. But to add the fact that there's the manual stuff, oh
Yeah,
god, that freaking intimidates me to the
yeah.
heck. I was like, I'm never gonna be joining Amazing Race
Right,
because if
yes,
they
that's
put
like the
me in a
only
car,
time that it's actually necessary, I feel like at this point that you
if they
ever
put me
see
in a
it.
car, I'm
Yeah.
screwed. I'm gonna be one of those people in that one segment of the episode of just cranking the gears
Yeah, and we're
and
like,
ruining
"Didn't
the whole
she
thing.
know?" Like, she didn't
No,
practice?
I'm
Yeah.
not a boomer, Kay.
So, I do know how to drive a stick. Like, I don't know if you know
Woohoo.
that, but I do know how to drive a stick. So, when I was, I actually don't like it. We don't have a stick now, but, like, when I was, 18 or 19, I was in
Mm.
college, I actually had, like, a really cool sports car, and it was a stick shift.
What?
So, it was
Is
and my yeah, my
I don't even know
dad
what you're supposed to do.
my dad taught Ab and I how to drive this
Uh,
particular car, and we had it for some. It's cool. I feel like it's like definitely like 100%. This is one of those skills that have been lost through time, but I also feel like it's not really necessary anymore. Like I think a lot of people that have like race cars, I have no idea. I
sure.
don't know anything about like F1 racing or like NASCAR racing or whatever,
Mhm.
but I'm like, I wonder if they're still like stick. That's probably a question for Jay. Like I bet he
Yeah.
would know. But like that's the
Yeah.
only time is like every time we watch Amazing Race, they go to other countries. I don't know. I think stick is still a thing in other countries. I totally forgot
I
to
think so.
ask when we were in the Philippines, but like my cousins that grew up in the Philippines, they all know how to drive stick because that's how you learn
Oh.
there. But I also don't understand because there's so much traffic there and
Oh,
stick
yeah.
shift sucks when you're in traffic. Like that's why I don't like
Yeah.
it because it's a lot
It
of work when
stalls.
you're in traffic. Yeah. It stalls. You
Yeah.
have to keep on, you're getting a workout on your legs pretty much.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah.
Jay, when we first started dating, he had like a little Miata with the like
Mhm,
the stick shift and everything.
mhm.
And I remember being so like, you have to use both feet?
You have to
Why
use
are there
both
so many
feet. Yeah,
pedals?
yeah, yeah.
And the fact that like you're constantly like shifting up, shifting
Right,
down.
right.
And I'm
Mhm.
just like, I'm exhausted just watching you drive.
Yeah, and it's so it's just like a thing. It's just like when we were younger, I think it was cool for us like to know how to
Sure.
do that. I think it was like
Yeah.
maybe a generational thing. I grew up in the a lot of people like I don't know if anyone like in Daly City or like
Mm.
in my generation, it was like a whole like the Honda Civics, the Acura Integras, like that was
Wow.
such a big cultural thing when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm sure they're all stick. I had friends that drove those kind of cars and they were all stick
Mhm.
shifts. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was a thing, but it's definitely not. But if you ever landed on the Amazing Race, like you should know how to drive a stick.
I mean, a genuine question because I don't know anything about cars. Is there any benefit
So
to
they
having
used to say, I don't know if there's
Yeah.
any truth to this, but they used to say it's saved on gas. But, like, I don't really know. I
Um,
don't know if that was just, like, a myth or if it was true, but, dude, we've moved on from gas cars at this point, right? So, a lot of
Yeah,
people
I have
drive
an electric
hybrids.
car.
Yeah, an electric car, so it's definitely we're, like, way beyond that, but that is the only thing I think I don't know, and I honestly don't even know if that's
Mm.
really true, but I remember hearing that, like, "Oh, you save gas," or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess so. It's like there has to be some perk,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you had to have to, like, still literally manually
Mhm.
move stuff around in order for
Yeah,
you to get your car going,
yeah.
versus just pressing
Just
the
starting
gas
it,
and
yeah,
the
for sure. I always say like, Ab always says, like, it's one of those things that, like, you don't forget, like riding a bike. Like, you could
That
still,
makes
like,
sense.
if you've learned how to do it, like, it takes a little bit of time, but you could, like, manage to learn, to just quickly, like, pick it up, which I wonder, but, like, we don't have I don't really know anyone with a stick shift, so I wouldn't know if
Mhm.
I could, like, practice or whatever. It's cool, though.
Right.
I would yeah, I'd be curious to know if I could still do it.
Yeah, Jay mentions it all the time. That it's like, "Ooh, it'd be cool if I could get like a little meowing in and like
Yeah,
drive around in it." And I'm
yeah.
like, "Well, I'm never gonna drive around in
You
it.
can learn, it's not that
I don't
hard.
wanna learn. I like my power steering and my
Yes, yeah. And,
my
I know you said, like, you don't like to drive. I'm like that too. Like, I hate I mean, I'm better at it now, but I really hate driving in unfamiliar areas. Like, I'm not that
Yeah.
like, I wasn't before, but I think at this point, like, it was, like, one of my fears that, like, I conquered. I feel like it was, like, a New Year's
Mhm.
resolution, like, years ago that,
We
like,
drive
dude
hecka far.
I do, and to be I'm proud of myself. I drove like, when we were in Canada, I drove the entire time when we were there. I
Crazy.
drove my mom, so, like, driving in another country, but I was 100% like you, and it's because it was like PTSD. I got in a pretty,
Sure.
like, bad car accident when I was younger, so
Oh.
it was, like, be scared of stuff, but it was, like, one New Year's, I was like, "Dude, you gotta, like, figure this out." Like, Ab works on the weekends, like, you wanna go to the Bay during the weekend, and you can't even drive across the Golden Gate or the Bay Bridge.
Mm.
Like, you gotta get it together, and I just
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's, like, probably what stops me, like, I also don't have, like, an absolute need to go places.
yeah. And you have
Like,
Jay.
I have to go to the mall or whatever, and I
Yeah,
have a day. I'm, like, more of a princess a passenger princess.
she is. I have a good friend that's like that too, that is just like she's never once, like, driven me anywhere. It's
Thank
not
you for
you.
driving
Yeah,
whenever.
it's not you. Okay,
It's me,
let's
you
yeah,
guys.
let's pick another one. Okay, so I'm gonna do
Okay.
kind of like a twofer because or
Ooh,
three because it's kind of all goes
okay.
together. Okay, so one is dressing up to go to work, wearing
Oh.
high heels, and also shopping in person. So this is all stuff that's actually like, it's all related, but like,
Mhm.
dude, like I have like a uniform, not a uniform, like I have several pieces that I wear to work, and I feel like they're I definitely am not the most dressed down person by any means. Like some of the
Uh-huh.
people that come to work, I'm like, what the fuck are you wearing? Like, sorry, did I just say that out loud? But it's okay. Like, there's this one person, like they don't listen. There's this one person, like, dude, like she's young, very young, like a college graduate. We're very casual, but like giant jeans and like a huge t-shirt, like not like like a woman's t-shirt, like a fitted tee, like a
Yeah,
giant t-shirt with
an
like,
oversized t-shirt.
yeah, like an oversized. Like I wear sneakers for sure, like every day. I don't like
Mhm.
wear anything other than sneakers. In the summer, I wear sandals, but like in my head, I'm like, dude, but I don't dress like that. But I definitely dress like casually to work. Like
Mm.
you see me when I come from, like I basically wear the same. Well, what about you? Well, yours is different.
Wow.
Do you wear a lab coat?
Well, in the lab, it's part of our, like, PPE lab wear that we
Mhm,
have to wear,
mhm.
but
Personal protective equipment for those that don't know, right?
yes, points to
Okay,
you.
okay. So she wears CP. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I wear a lab coat, but it's, like, disposable and whatever because 'cause we're too cheap to buy legit ones. But oh, did I say that out loud?
Your name's not on your coat? It's not
No.
embroidered?
I
Okay.
throw that stuff away, like, every 2 weeks or so because
Oh,
it's, like
wow. I
they're,
was
like,
not
paper
aware.
thin and whatever.
Mhm.
Anyway, aside from that, like, I wear normal stuff, but I feel like my style has changed for work throughout the years that I've been there. Like, I used to wear, like, work wear in the beginning, and then I got really casual by wearing more jeans, like skinny
Mm.
jeans and, like, um, t-shirts for the most part, cardigans or whatever. But now, like, I'm more into, like, workwear, menswear, whatever, that I kind of blend the 2. So, I wear, like yeah, like, pants, not necessarily, like, dress pants, but they're, like, pants from, like, Uniqlo or whatever. They're,
Yeah,
like,
we
the
wear
wide
the
leg
same
pants.
pants, yes.
And
Yeah, like the
then yeah.
like, but they are dressed like pretty dress you can dress them up and down, right? Those pants.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and essentially that's what I do is my uniform is, like, one of those, and unfortunately, I do wear, like, big jeans, like, wide leg jeans, like
I
maybe
do
one of
too.
your coworkers
Yeah.
wear.
No. So I think the thing that threw me off, but that's all I'll clarify. I wear big, like wide leg jeans. Like I only ever wear the same pair of jeans. Like you know what jeans, but like it's the t-shirt. I think that it was like a giant t-shirt that had no like
Mm,
fit to it. Because for me, I like I'm wearing a t-shirt right now, but I like women's fits where it's just like you show, like it's like cut for you type thing. This is
mm.
just like a t-shirt. So,
I
anyways,
wear
yeah,
both, but I know it is, like, a style nowadays where it's, like, oversized everything.
yeah.
So maybe that's, like, what she's going for, but, yeah, I don't wear, like, oversized t-shirts like that, and that's just because, like, it doesn't fit very well underneath, like, a lab coat, so, um, I wear, like, normal tops and
Mhm.
t-shirts and whatever, but, um, yeah, I definitely don't wear high heels. Um
No, I don't know how to wear high heels. Like, I don't think I was ever I mean, I say it like I like will only wear high heels for like weddings or like very like formal
Yeah.
occasions, and I'll really try my best to like get out of it like as soon as I can.
But I wouldn't
Yeah.
even count myself wearing high heels, I would just wear heels because I feel like anything
Oh,
higher
yes, you're right. Yeah.
I'm already, like, above average tall for, like, a Filipina, and being even taller than that, I feel like makes me feel really self-conscious because 'cause I'm, like, towering over everybody at that point.
Mhm.
So, I don't really wear high heels in general, but when I do, they don't stay on for too long because I can't
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah,
not good at it.
yeah. We don't wanna cut your feet off at the end of the night of whatever it is that we're. Yeah.
They haven't really said that I can't wear high heels at work, but I guess as long as they're closed-toed shoes, it's
Oh yeah,
pretty
because that's
fine.
a like that's like a PP. I
It's
don't
a
know if it's
safety
called PPE,
thing.
but it's a safety thing too. Okay,
Mhm.
I yeah, I have a funny story, and it has to do
Yeah.
with the boomer actually, which is this is I like just thought of
Oh,
this. So you know how like
who's the boomer?
yeah, it's I supervised a boomer
Oh,
previous like, not anymore,
oh,
but previously, but,
that's an
like, you know
interesting
how, like,
dynamic.
for COVID, like, everyone worked from home, right? Like, everyone
Yes.
worked from home, and this person was just like this woman was like I guess she was just tired of being home, like, really she's like
Hmm.
she literally said to me, like, "I just wanna go in the office, wear my heels, put on some lipstick, and just, like, go to work like like a
Oh,
regular work day." And I was like, "Okay,"
yeah.
like, so we let her go, and she was, like, the only one that would go, and
Wow.
so, like, after 2 weeks, she's like, "I know, I'm sorry, I, like, pushed you to let me go in, but it's really lonely there, so I'm just gonna go and stay home," because, like, no
Oh.
one else wanted to do it, and it was just one of
Yeah.
those things that she wanted, but it just totally remind like, like totally dressing up like that generation. Like it's funny, like you say, like for me, like the stuff that I wear to work is stuff that I wear when we hang out too, even though I
Mhm,
don't feel like it's super dressed up. I don't feel like it's like informal or inappropriate for work, but I guess in
mhm,
generations in the past, it was like workwear was like totally different from like what you would wear when you were like with
mm.
your family and friends.
Yeah. I remember I started wearing, like, blazers to work because blazers have become, like, a everyday wear thing, at least for me,
And
and I
you look good
remember
in
when I
them.
first Oh, thank you. I remember starting to wear them for once at work, and all I kept were getting comments of like, "Ooh, do you have an interview today?" I'm like, "No, I just like wearing blazers,
Yeah,
okay?"
yeah,
And I wear them so often now that people don't question it, so
yeah, yeah.
but you're allowed to wear blazers when you
Dude, I
don't
was
have
just
an
thinking, I
interview.
have a blazer that I've never worn before. I should wear it to work.
Wear
Yeah,
it, go
yeah.
for it. People are gonna well, sometimes I think that it does command a little bit more respect.
Mhm.
Maybe I do consciously wear them when I have, like, big meetings or whatever as,
Yeah.
like, a power move, but honestly, like, regular days. Blazer, looks good. Jeans,
Yeah,
cool.
you wear the jeans too. Yeah, have you ever heard this term? Like, it's like, what is it like? Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
an
know if that
old
it
term because it's
technically
just like,
applies for me.
yeah, like if I dress for the job I want, I'd be in my pajamas because I just want to sit home. Like it just,
I don't wanna
but I
work
think,
from home.
yeah, but like previously, like, of course, like in generations past, it was like if you wanted to be like people like for example like attorneys or like
Right.
executives they wore friggin suits now they don't I don't
Mhm.
think these like
Oh, really?
I was gonna just bust myself out and say where I work but like the
Ooh,
people in
no
high
doxing.
positions the people in very high positions in my job like they you can't tell dude you can't tell you know people don't I
Yeah.
don't think they really like do that anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know if we have that on the list here, but one thing that I think is kind of related to that is that a lot of our generations don't want to be like higher management anymore. Like we're
Yes,
not
I just
going
saw
for
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
saw that in an
And
article today.
and so it's
Like, they
like
don't
they don't need to dress for the job that they want
yeah,
because they're already
yeah,
at the job that they
yeah.
care
So
to
it's
be
like,
at.
yeah, like, so, like, that goes to, like, how, like, in generations past, like, boomers, it was just, like, the thing was to climb that corporate ladder, right? Like, that like, you wanna go as high as you
A good old
can, you wanna
ladder.
make as much money as you possibly can, where now it's, like, mental health is really important. Like, we all know, like, we've all heard those stories where people in those positions have really shitty relationships with their
Yes.
spouses or their partners and they don't get to spend any time with their kids. It's like it's great. They
Mhm.
have all the money and they have all the toys and they're able to send their kids to these great schools, but you don't really know your parent and the kids, the parent
Yeah.
doesn't
At
really
what
get to spend time.
cost is
Yes,
it, you know?
exactly. And these days it's more important to just, be with your family, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you value life outside of work. You're try and like find balance between work
Mhm.
and life. But if you had to prioritize one, prioritize your life outside of
Yes,
work.
yeah, yeah.
And so like there's a lot of people who don't have the mentality of climbing the ladder. It's like I just want to get paid to do the things that I like to do outside of work.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And a lot
Yeah.
of people these days, like, like you, Mon, like you have like your candle business on the side. And there's a lot of people these days that have secondary incomes from things that they're actually passionate about. So they're cool, like the job, your corporate job, like a lot of it is just like for basic things, and you're also using it for benefits, like your health
Yeah.
benefits, like people
Yeah.
want that stuff, and retirement and all that stuff, but you could supplement
Mhm.
your income doing other things that you really like we hope to do in this podcast.
So if you guys could support us and subscribe and
Yes.
like and
Yeah.
follow and all of that good
Yeah.
stuff so that we don't have to dress for the job that we have
We don't
right
have
now.
to wear high heels. Yeah.
The job that we want is the one to work from home
Yes, yeah, in our pajamas, so,
and wear
yeah.
pajamas.
Yes, yes.
Okay, how about one more? I
Yeah,
think
let's do one more.
one more. Shall we get into the heavy one?
Yes, yes. Go for it.
How about getting and staying married? Like those are two different things.
Those are
And
two very
having
different things, yeah.
kids.
Mhm.
Having kids. That those are big life. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even say like life goals for like people. It's just a very pivotal
That's what
point in
people,
people's
yeah,
lives.
so what I have to say about that is, like, just, like, for me, since I had my son really young, I was, like, 20 years old when I had Noah, it was just, like, I didn't even really think about it, it was just, like, it's what you did, right? Like, you
Mhm.
grew up, you got in a relationship, you got married, and then you had a kid. It was just, like, the way that it was like the order of life, although
Yes.
like I had Noah before we got married, that type of thing. But like that's what you did.
Mhm.
Whereas now, like people are really thinking about like, do I want to do that? And I think it's
Mhm.
super smart. I think it's just like do what you feel is best for you, is what people
Yeah.
are doing now.
Yeah. It's definitely a newer generation thing, not a boomer mentality to just have kids just because that's the next stage in your life.
Mhm.
Um, but you know, not only just having kids, but just getting married or whatever. It's not like you have to do it by some point anymore. People are realizing that you don't have to be married by your 21st birthday. You do not have to have kids by your 22nd birthday.
Yeah.
You can have those things later on if you want, or if you don't want to get married and or have kids, you
Then
don't
don't.
have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And whether it's just personal choice or like unfortunate cases where you can't like have kids,
Mhm.
um it's something that you just got to respect a personal everyone's like personal choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard for a lot of boomers to grasp because,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, they want grandkids and
Yeah.
whatnot. Or they want, of course, their kid to feel safe and secure and someone to be with them after they pass away. So naturally they think it's like, oh, you need to be
You
married
need
to
to have a
somebody.
partner. Yeah.
Yeah, so that when we're gone, you have somebody and whatever. You don't wanna be lonely forever, and
Right.
it's just, like, having that's not the point of, like, getting married and having kids.
Mhm.
It's it's because you want them, it's not because of other reasons that don't seem as, like,
Yeah, yeah.
valuable.
So, I wanna tie in, like, what our topic was last week, so for you guys that didn't
Mhm,
listen, hopefully, like, please give that one a listen, but we talked about Filipino toxic traits, right? So this is
mhm,
totally, like, we could totally tie in like the tita mentality. Whereas like I have a cousin that is super accomplished. She's single, super accomplished, super well traveled. Like, and she tells me that sometimes like she'll see like a tita or she'll meet someone and they'll be like, "So are you married? Do you have kids?" Like, like, "Oh, it's okay. You'll get there." And it's like it's not even I don't know if that's what she wants or if that's I don't know that, but it's just like
mhm.
she has so much going for herself professionally and personally and stuff like that, and it's just like that's what people like focus on. It sucks, like they need to like I could honestly say like my mom is like that, like, oh, she married, or like, or if they people still get married and choose not to have kids. That's like a thing
Yeah,
these days, right? So it's
yeah, they
just like
wanna be
what are they,
dinkwads or
yeah, or like
catwads.
yeah, yeah. Um, pets are like a big thing, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
people like consider their pets like their children these days, which I
Mhm.
feel like is so heartbreaking because they don't last
Mhm.
very long, but stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like I feel like that's such a older generational thing because my mom will like immediately if we bring up like an old friend of mine from high school, it's like that's like oh, is she married now? Is she like,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So
Mhm. Well, we kinda talked about in the episode that, like, that's, like, their small talk, right? Like, their go-to responses just to
mhm.
see how they are, and it's like, well, what if they're not married or if they don't have kids? Do you think of them any less? Like, I
Yes,
don't
exactly.
understand,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
why would that need to be why does that matter to you? Or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
but, it's just because they can't think of anything else, I feel
Yes,
like,
yeah. Or
or
it's
or
just
they're
like
just being
that's
nosy for the
yeah, or
chismes, you
that's
know?
just what they're used to. That's
Yeah.
like in their generation, that's what people did. You automatically just partnered up with somebody, got married, and then just busted out a bunch of kids. Like, and it was
Yeah.
just like everyone did it. And I remember like having like one uncle that was like super career driven and didn't get married or had I don't even think he ever had children, but like didn't get married till he was like in his like probably late 40s or maybe even later than that. And it was this big thing that they always talked about, and they're always
Yeah.
trying to like hook him up with like whoever, and it's just
Yeah.
like, dang, like leave
Yeah.
the man alone.
I mean, I remember seeing, like, on TV and stuff that's like, "Ooh, I wanna be married by, like, the time I'm 30, and
Mhm,
then I wanna have kids by the time I'm, like, 32, because that's, like, the golden timeline for, like, a lot of women."
mhm.
And even, like, then, the being having getting married and having kids in your 30s was, like, so outrageous. It's like,
Yeah,
that's
it's like
old,
late
right?
already. Yeah, yeah.
But now myself being in my early 30s, I feel like, yeah, I may be married, but, like, I'm not in a time or place right now to have kids, and, with everything going on, the economy, the politics, the just mental health,
Mhm.
work-life balance, it's all of that. It's like knowing that I have a choice to bring in a kid, God willing, that, like, they come in healthy and everything, that it's like to put them in the position of what everything else is going in right now, what
Yeah,
I'm going through right now, it's not a
yeah.
very responsible thing for me to do. And so it's like you have to think about those, and maybe back then they didn't have to worry about too many things like
Yeah.
that. Like mental health wasn't like a big thing. It was ignored back then. Like
Was
maybe a
not
lot
a
of
thing.
yeah, maybe a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't want to have kids, but they were afraid of society telling them that they were weird and
Right,
like
right.
that
So they just did it.
they're failures as women or whatever if they don't have kids, and
Mhm.
they want to encourage the lineage of like their last name and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. And it's just like those are all not very good
They're
reasons to
not
have
valid.
it.
Yeah.
You should want kids. You should not have to have kids. Those are
Yes.
two very very different
Yeah.
things.
So I have a couple things like I want to chime in. So two things. So the first thing I want to say is like I feel like when you are like in your 20s, you're a completely different person that when you are like in your 30s and 40s. So
Mhm.
sometimes the person that you end up with because you feel like you're on a deadline and you need to like hurry it up and you're on this timeline and all that stuff, you could potentially make like a huge mistake by ending up with someone that you may not be like completely compatible with just because, like you're running out of time. It's
Right.
such a bad position to be put in, to put
Yeah.
yourself in.
Yeah.
The second thing is like, I totally understand what you're saying about like just the state of our world today, like to bring a
Mhm.
child in. So Noah was born, like, do you remember? Like you're so young at this time too, but like you remember like the Columbine massacre? It was like
Mhm.
I don't know if it was the first mass shooting, high school mass shooting, in our country, or was the first one that was like blew up and like
Yeah.
basically everyone knew about. But Noah was born a month after that happened. And I
That must have been
remember
terrifying.
I was like, what the hell? Like, I get chills right now, but just like, what am I bringing my kid into? Like, to the point
Yeah.
where you're like scared to send them to school because they can literally die from a shooting at. Well, this is America, right? This is
Yeah, yeah.
something unfortunately that happens here, like God, like every other day. And we're so
Unfortunately, yeah.
like desensitized to it, but it's just like I totally understand like how, it's just like not a place that a lot of people like we could see it like, from that time of the baby boomers, like people have less
Mhm,
and less kids, like
mhm.
um me and my siblings and even you guys, like we're like the generations where there's like threes and three like
Yes.
Ab comes
Big
from I
families.
think a big family for me. He has three other siblings, so there's four of them. There's three of us, there's two of you guys. It's like a lot of twos and threes, and four
Yes.
was big, right? Four was like, holy shit,
Mhm.
that's a big family. Where now it's like, man, people that have like two kids or three kids, you're like,
It's a lot.
dang, that's a lot of
It's a lot.
kids. Yeah. Three
Yeah.
is like crazy at this point to have
Right.
three kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. For us, like,
Exactly. That's a
I
good
don't
point.
think, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's so funny. Like, my brother, he has a blended family. With his blended
Mhm.
family, there's four of them. And we're like, dang,
Woo.
he has hella kids. But, it's just like, it's different, it's a blended family, but like, it's just
But
like,
they're doing great. They're a great
they are doing
team,
great. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like they're doing what they can. It shows that they're a loving family. They're
Yeah.
loving parents. They wanted kids,
Yes.
and um, obviously, it's not in the most conventional way compared to like how they did it in the boomer generation, because that would have been like outrageous. No
Yes.
way can you
Yeah.
have a blended family.
Yes, there's no
So
such thing. Yeah, it was so, like,
yeah,
taboo to have, like, a blended family. Yeah,
yeah.
and that's another thing. So another point that we put on here is getting married and staying married is another thing
Mhm.
where boomers, no matter how bad things got, they stuck it out till
They
till
stick
death do us
around.
part. Yeah. It was
Oof, they
it's
take
so
that to
bad.
the
Yeah.
grave for sure,
Yeah. And
literally.
now it's just like if sometimes people aren't meant to stay together and that's okay. It's just like I think that that's at this point like very very normal, but man,
Yeah.
like for my parents' generation when you hear like if when they hear people splitting it up it's like, oh my god, like
Yeah. You
like
wanna
what
talk
happened.
about chisness, that would have been,
Yeah.
like, the
Oh,
one to,
yeah.
like, keep
A
talking about even
divorce?
when the
Yeah.
person's gone. Yeah, and it's suddenly, like, your worth is, like, measured by your decision in having a divorce, and
Yeah.
it's just like, well, no, you're making the mature decision of, like, "I know what's right for me, I know what's right for
Absolutely.
us
Yeah.
and their situation," and obviously, it's not like a an easy thing to do in most cases,
Mhm.
but it's I wanna say in our generations, the newer generations, it's a little bit less stigmatized, is that the word?
Mhm.
Or less
Yeah.
taboo, you're saying,
Mhm.
and, not necessarily easier, but you do see it a little bit more often, and while some people can see that as, like, a bad thing, it's like, "Oh, people aren't staying together." The what's it called? The
Divorce
thing of
rate.
getting the divorce rate, the
Mhm.
the thing of, getting married, it's no longer as, like, big of a thing
Sacred.
because
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, sacred, that's the word I was looking
yeah.
for, thank you. And it's just like, well, what's the point of getting married then if, like, people are just gonna throw it away by
Mhm.
divorcing, and
Mhm.
it's just like, well, you don't have to put a spin like that, obviously, they got married for the most
Yeah,
part
they're
because
not
they were in love and
right,
they meant
they're not
commitment.
going into it knowing that I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna
Right,
go into getting married thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna end up getting a divorce and I'm just wasting all this money on, like, a
right.
ceremony." No, that's not the point. It's just like people just don't work out sometimes, and I actually really like commend those like men and women who know when to like call it, I guess. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
I've seen plenty of relationships where they couples don't stick together, and if they have kids they do a really good job of like co-parenting.
Co-parenting,
It's
yes.
super
Mhm,
hard to do, it's not easy, I can't even imagine,
mhm.
but it's okay now, and that's just something that like in the Philippines, man, like I don't even think divorce is legal. They're
I
just
think
starting the
yeah.
like they're just start because it's so in the Philippines, for those of you that don't know, they're very religious. It's like religion
Mhm,
is over like government or whatever. So there's no such thing as
mhm.
divorce. I don't know if it's a thing now, but they're finally starting to discuss a way to like make that so, that could be changed in the future. But It's crazy. It's like super like taboo. We keep on using that word, but it's really like difficult there. Once you're married, it's like, yeah. But also, hello, that's probably why the infidelity rate is like so crazy in the Philippines because yeah, that's another topic.
Yeah,
That's another topic. Yeah.
We'll say that for another episode.
Yes. Oh my God, we've never done an episode on that. We should do like Am I the asshole or like the Dear Abby on.
Am I the asshole for having infidelity? Automatic.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. All right, you guys. So that's pretty. I wish we kind of like ended on like a happier topic, but that's okay. It's like, but it's okay. Like we're basically saying like, like not like women power, but just like, just I guess what we're saying in all these situations is just like this generation does just what's best for them personally. And that's a good thing, right? It's like you're not just doing things just because of what, people did in the past. So yeah, that's our,
There's more than one way to live your life. You don't have to stick to society norms,
yes. Just because it was done in the past.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So that about does it for this episode. So thanks again for joining us. Let us know what you think. Like, can you relate to any of these? Do you still do any of these things? That's what kind of like.
Are you a secret boomer?
Do you have boomer tendencies?
Ooh, tell us. Leave us a OA text message in the link down below in our description box. We'd love to hear it. There's no shame. It's totally okay.
It's okay.
Aside from the OA text message, don't forget to follow, rate, and subscribe to our podcast. Subscribe to our video podcast here on YouTube. That really helps us out in our algorithm and stuff like that, and to help us dress for the job that we want.
Yes, I'm literally wearing pajama pants right now.
I am wearing my sweats right now.
Yeah, so help us with that by subscribing and tell your friends. Like, we never say that, right? If you have any friends that are, you think would enjoy our content and stuff, like, please spread the word. So
yes, absolutely. And it's a brand new year. Definitely let us know if there's any videos or topics that you want us to talk about. Please send them in. We're open to like a lot of ideas. We have a couple lined up, but until next time, friends, stay OA
in the best way. Bye, guys.
Bye,
everyone.
Boomers. I'm sorry if we offended you.
I don't think we have boomer listeners, do you? I think my mom watches.
If we do, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I kind of feel like my mom might watch secretly and just doesn't say anything. Oh God, no. Okay. Bye. Bye.